Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Woo!
Woo! Fucking
Yeah!
devil! All of the time!
Hi, everybody!
Hello, everyone!
My name is David Bell,
My name is Tom Ryman.
and we just watched The Devil
Devil
All
All
the
the
Time! Yeah!
Woo!
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, indeed.
How and why people from 2 points on a map without even a straight line between them can be connected is at the heart of our story in Knock 'em Stiff.
You ever think about how we ended up orphans living in the same house?
I know what my daddy did.
Some people would say it's just dumb luck.
You take pictures?
I do. I see a smile pretty enough to photograph, that is.
Others would tell you it was God's plan.
Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness.
That ain't no preacher. He's as bad as they got on the damn radio.
When people look back on it, they had no other choice.
There's a lot of no good sons of bitches out there.
Yes.
Okay, maybe this is already making me feel better. Because I feel really bad about this, and maybe we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I howled in laughter during this movie.
I never howled in laughter.
Okay. It's so grim that it went all the way around for me.
It is, yeah. This is a real bleak movie.
But like, so first of all, how did you like this movie?
I actually enjoyed it.
Me too. This is like half of the Avengers cast, or like a bunch of superheroes, and they're in there. It's in the what? The 60s, early 60s.
It takes place partially in 50s. It jumps from like right after World War II to 1957 and then to 1965. Most of the movie is in 1965.
And it's about Spider-Man and like just God just shitting on Spider-Man.
Right, just prying open his divine ass cheeks and just erupting diarrhea all over Tom Holland for his entire life.
He looks so innocent, and that was part of what made it so funny to me.
It's just it just keeps getting punched in the face by the universe.
It gets comically tragic.
Truly, yeah. This yeah.
We're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie.
Oh, of
first
course.
Of all.
Yeah. This is yeah.
Yeah, but this if you haven't seen it, it's kind of like it's almost a meandering story, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's it starts with Billiam Skarsgård.
Billiam Skarsgård, yes.
And he just got back from the war.
Yeah.
And he settles down and he has a child, a little Tom Holland. And then there's
this is all accurate.
Yeah, and then there's Harry Potter's cousin is there.
Yep. Dudley Dursley is there.
Yeah, and he pours spiders all over himself. I'm telling this really wrong.
Yeah,
I'm telling this story really wrong.
It's about Arvin Russell, who is played by Tom Holland, and just the tragedy that swirls throughout his life, and it seems to date back to when his dad Billiam Skarsgård gets home from the war. His mom, I think, or his aunt, tries to set him up with Alice in Wonderland with Mia Wasikowska.
Right.
And she like made a deal with God privately. She was like, if you bring him home safe, I will match him up with Mia Wasikowska because she's had a terrible life. Like she's orphaned. She doesn't have any family left. But he's not interested in her at all. He like falls in love with this waitress he meets and marries her. And she marries Dudley Dursley, who is this fanatical preacher who winds up stabbing her in the neck with a screwdriver. Because
in the first comedic scene of the movie.
Sure. Because he thinks he can bring her back to life. Like he thinks God told him to do that.
And then he stabs her in the fucking neck and then kneels over her and he's like, resurrect her. And, nothing happens. And it's like, again, I laughed because it was so cruel, but it was such a like, and then this like hard cut to him driving in the car.
Yeah.
And his friend or
his brother is like, they're not gonna, it's like, man, the cops, like, he's like, well, God told me, I got a vision from God and he said he was gonna resurrect her. And he's like, if you tell the cops that's gonna sound like a crazy man killed his wife.
But he ends up getting
he abandons his brother in the car. His brother's paralyzed from the waist down.
Yeah.
And he hitchhikes. He gets picked up by fucking Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke in the role he was born to play.
This movie really drove home the fact that you should never, like, if you're in the woods and you see Jason Clarke, it is always bad.
Run.
Like, there's been a couple, like Pet Sematary, that movie where he's like, where he's chasing Alexander Skarsgård and like his wife through the woods.
I couldn't stop thinking about Serenity because that's another amazing use of Jason Clarke.
That's an iconic Jason Clarke role.
I think that's what it is about this movie that really tickled me, is all the actors that they chose were hilarious to me. Like, that's the thing. It's not funny.
We haven't even gotten to Pattinson yet.
No, we haven't. It's not funny. It's just
this movie is not funny.
The choices they made, where like when Jason Clarke shows up and he turns out to him and his wife go on the road and they pick up hitchhikers and he takes pictures of his wife having sex with the hitchhikers and then shoots the hitchhikers.
Yeah, and then they pose the bodies and photograph them, and it's a whole thing.
And Jason Clarke is just full on Jason Clarke.
Right. He's wearing like a stained wife beater most of the time. He's got like a shitty cigar in his mouth. My God.
Again, Jason, if you've watched Serenity, the classic film Serenity, with Matthew McConaughey, Jason Clarke plays like a royal douchebag in that, and they use every part of him. They use every part of the Jason Clarke. He excels at being a douchebag.
Yeah, a real scummy piece of shit.
Yeah. And so the moment that was happening, I was like, oh, are you kidding me, movie?
Yeah.
And then Harry Potter's cousin doing real dumb shit too, and it was like, well, that's perfect. And then Tom Holland is there, and then Sebastian Stan shows up, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
But like chubby Sebastian Stan.
Yes.
Like he gained weight for this movie.
Yep. And then there's old Robert Pattinson.
And then Robert Pattinson shows up wearing a fake gut.
Yep.
And B, doing, my God, the most incredible Southern preacher voice.
It's incredible.
It is. I left my body. Like, it's transcendent.
Apparently, they didn't know what voice he was going to do until they started filming.
That makes total sense. Like, I realized watching this movie, I came to the realization that both Robert Pattinson and Bill Skarsgård, I could not pick their actual voices out. If like you played it for me, I would never recognize, because I don't think I've ever heard them speak in their regular voices.
Right.
So they're always doing some batshit thing, and Pattinson is just way afield in this.
Oh yeah, he is having a blast.
I mean, he's perfect. He's not. It's not like
he's perfect.
It's not over the top in a distracting way. This is exactly what those people sound like. It's just the only thing that makes it hilarious is the fact that it's Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, and he of course plays a scumbag. It's all these actors are scumbags in it,
pretty much,
except for Tom Holland.
Except for Tom Holland, yeah. Everybody else is scummy.
Yeah, and so
once again, this movie is not funny.
It's really hard. It's really hard. It's not funny, but again, I think some people will be I felt like a bad person for laughing so many times.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
but
it just
becomes comically tragic. Everything that goes wrong could go wrong.
It's just so cruel. Not like. It's
and like none of these actors, none of them are doing a bad job. But since I recognized all of them, like I never forgot it was a movie, I guess. So that kind of helped. Whereas like they're trapped by Marvel and superhero stuff.
Kind of.
So that like it's not that they aren't capable of really good acting. They're all very good in it. But you can't help but to see like Bucky hunting down Spider-Man in the woods.
Sometimes, like I was able to put that out of my head.
Yeah. It's
because he's
acting by with how tragic it is.
Right, that, and also Sebastian Stan really doesn't look like himself, and it took me a minute to recognize him.
Yes.
But
so back to Billiam. He and this lady have a kid, and I didn't even think about it, but you're right. It is like all because God is punishing them.
Yeah,
because I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it as more of like, it's just, look at how much shit came out of religion.
Yes, yeah,
how much bullshit.
Yeah, and it's about like I think it's kind of about faith and like what it means to have faith and find faith. Because I feel like Tom Holland does in the end. Like he goes back to the prayer log and he ultimately forgives his father, which was like the big thing he had to do.
Right.
And kind of finds peace with it. But yeah, like so much of the movie is about what cruelty is done using the church as a disguise for it.
Right. True believers. The guy who stabs his wife in the neck and thinks he can resurrect her.
Bill Skarsgård kills young Tom Holland's dog and crucifies it because he thinks...
He sure does.
He thinks God will cure his wife's cancer. She's dying of cancer. And he there's an important bit where like he was in the Pacific in World War II and they saw a POW who was crucified, like brutally crucified.
Right.
And like he stopped going to church after that because like he couldn't look at a cross without seeing it. So he builds his own in the woods, and that's where he goes to pray.
Right, and so it's a lot of the movie, like a sizable chunk is Tom Holland growing up, his dad teaching him. There's a couple of trappers who like harass him and talk about his wife. So Billiam like just fucking jumps them.
Right, he teaches young Tom Holland the all important lesson of don't attack people immediately. Wait.
Yeah,
wait until they're not expecting it. Yeah. Wait till they're by themselves.
When someone heckles you, you'll feel compelled to attack them then. No, follow them home first. Wait till they're comfortable.
Yes.
Then you attack them. Stay angry. Yeah.
Like he about kills one of them. He just punches his soul out of his body and then drowns him in the mud for a solid minute.
Yeah. So Tom Holland's mom gets cancer, and Bill Skarsgård crucifies a dog. Again, I shouldn't be laughing, but like that was the one thing I knew. I knew that dog was going to die. Tom, I think you told me about that.
Right, that's one of the things I'd heard is that a dog dies almost immediately.
And like it didn't die that immediately.
Not that immediately, yeah.
And it didn't die on camera.
No, you never actually see it. You see the crucified dog like in a flashback at the very end.
Yeah, and they also make it like an old dog. So I was like, yeah, the dog's only got a couple more years. I guess it can be crucified. Yeah. And like it's an actor dog, so you know.
Yeah. This is all make believe, folks.
But it's like, again, the worst possible thing he can do is I'm going to shoot your beloved dog and crucify him to get to save your mom from cancer. She dies, and then Bill Skarsgård goes back to the praying log and he kills himself.
Yeah, he cuts his own throat.
Yep.
It is the level of punishment they heap upon little Tom Holland in this movie.
Yeah. And that's little Tom Holland. This is before it's some actor, some child actor.
Yeah, some little shit.
So he grows up. He goes to live with his grandmother, who also got a kid because of the Harry Potter, and
right,
it's Dudley
he killed
Dursley. The wife, and then he was killed by Jason Clarke. So right. that baby's parents never came back.
He wandered into the woods and was killed by Jason Clarke. That's like a folk tale that people tell their children. Don't wander into the woods, or Jason Clarke will get you.
Yeah, he's the Hansel and Gretel witch, but for hitchhikers,
right,
male hitchhikers.
He's like the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, just creeping around the backwoods
just fucking Jason
with his gun.
Clarke.
And it was like, oh, he's such a sleazebag.
Yeah.
Because he does this, it's this whole courting period where he's like, I bet you want to fuck my wife.
Yeah,
have a
look
few
at her.
drinks.
Don't you want to fuck my wife? Yeah.
Don't you want to fuck my wife? It's so Jason Clarke.
Yeah.
Like, it couldn't be more Jason Clarke.
Yeah. His wife, by the way, is Riley Keough from The Lodge.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
and she's great in it. And so he grows up with his stepsister, and she gets picked on because she's religious. And,
and that's Eliza Scanlon, who's the girl from Sharp Objects.
Oh, okay, good for her. And they're close enough, you know. They're basically family. They're brother and sister.
He fucking annihilates the bullies that pick
Right.
on her. He beats one guy half to death with a wrench.
Yeah, he uses his father's advice and just goes ape shit on some bullies.
Right. He lies in wait like a shark.
Yeah.
that's his dad's advice.
Yes. And his dad also left him a German Luger as it's the only possession of his dad that he has.
Yes.
And then old Robbie Pat comes into town.
Old Pattinson rolls into town because their preacher gets sick, and they're like, well, we got this new guy who just graduated from Bible college. He's coming up here, and my God.
He is an immediate scumbag.
Yes.
Tom Holland's mom
grandmother,
sorry, makes to welcome him. They all make him food, and they don't have much money, so they make him liver.
I interject real quick here. This is very, like growing up part in the country, and especially Marina, who grew up entirely in the country. This is a very accurate representation of what it's like in the country.
Right. And so they all bring him food, and he's dressed like Elvis most of the movie.
Yeah, with his puffy shirt and his little fake gut. My God.
Yeah, he's not young Elvis. And he uses the liver as an example of how graceful he is by saying, look at this poor people food. I will eat the poor people food, and you can all eat the other stuff. And it's a really weird fuck you to the grandmother.
Really, because everybody's extremely poor. This takes place in rural Ohio and in West Virginia.
And spoilers for ahead, it feels like when Tom Holland eventually shoots him, no one in the town is cares.
Well, what's fucking funny is when Sebastian Stan, who plays the sheriff in West Virginia, where Tom Holland grew up, before he moves to Ohio, he gets a call from a guy's like, yeah, we think a kid that used to live up in your county might have shot a preacher here. Now we don't think he's dangerous, and looks like the preacher might have deserved it.
I don't think anybody in the town
that's how cops are talking to each other.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in that town liked that preacher.
No, it's just because there's the grandmother is freaking out about she's practicing saying hello to him and freaking out about what she's going to make for him. That's how gripped by the church this community is.
Yeah, but again, I don't think. Yeah, I think it became very clear that he was a bad person for that and other reasons. I also like that
he starts fucking teenagers.
Yes, he just goes fuck wild on teenagers. No discretion really. And so really. Once they're found shot, they probably just talk to a few people and they're like, "Oh yeah, that checks out." The cop also
he also left evidence on her.
Oh right, you're right.
He drops the one girl's panties and then a letter and some photographs and shit. He's I don't want anybody to think I shot this dude for no reason. Yeah. He seriously had it coming.
Tom Holland sprinkles a lot of evidence on people that he kills.
He does, yeah. He ties it up pretty nicely.
Yeah. I like that cop, by the way, when he's describing Tom Holland, he also says, "Not bad looking."
Yeah.
It's okay. He's right. It's just okay. Didn't need that detail.
A funny thing to include in the description.
The cops are pretty chill, but I assume because everybody is white in this movie, they're across the board. All these characters are just vicious racists. One imagines.
Of course, they're in West Virginia and rural Ohio in the 60s.
It never comes up, but
they've never seen a black person.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson basically molests his sister, Tom Holland's sister.
He gets her pregnant.
He gets her pregnant. It's a relationship, I guess, but he's preying on her because he's using God.
And she's extremely an extremely pious
Yeah.
child who always goes to the church to pray over her mother's grave, and like
so
he uses his sway in the community to like prey on these teenage girls.
So he's maximum scumbag. He
truly is.
he-
He even has a gold pinky ring.
Yeah.
Like he's just going all out.
You know who he
in this
reminds me
movie.
of?
Who's that?
Edward from Twilight. Very ultra religious, preys on women way younger than him. He's a real Edward.
Give Edward like a gold pinky ring and a gold necklace, like a gold chain.
Yeah. So he's
and one of those real sleazy like thin banded gold watches that people used to wear.
yeah.
He 100% has one of those on
Yeah.
in this movie.
And so like he's a real Jason Clarke type. He is just 100% scumbag.
He's less violent
Less
than
violent.
Jason Clarke tends to be.
But it's that like there's no hiding how big of a scumbag he is.
No, it pours off of him in thunderous waves.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Like his fucking scumfuck energy knocks you to the floor when you walk in the room.
It's like staring into the sun. Like it's just yeah.
It's just like Jesus. Like you have to look away.
Yeah.
He's so scummy.
And so she goes to him and says, "You got me pregnant," and he basically like tells her, "You better take care of it because I'm not gonna they're not gonna believe you." And
and then you'll be the
you'll be ashamed.
He says you'll be the whore with a bastard child or something.
Right.
And he kind of gaslights her a little too.
Oh, a lot. He says like I don't recall us doing that stuff. You know,
it's like how could I be the father when all we did was pray before God? I'm like,
Yeah.
and that's not even really the voice. He's doing like young Jerry Falwell.
Yes. And so
So he basically uses the Bible to point out that God tests people by giving them delusions. So he tries to gaslight her into thinking that she's imagining it all because God is trying to test her.
right. And so
He's a real scumfuck.
He's a real scumfuck. He's again incredible job.
Yeah, it's glorious performance by Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. It so this is a scene that should be more tragic, but then they do something. They do something that made me laugh, and I feel bad. So the young girl, the sister.
I'm very curious to hear what point you laughed at because this scene is not funny.
The sister goes to hang herself in the barn, and that's sad.
Sure does.
I was sad. And then she gets on the bucket. She puts the noose over the head, and the narrator goes. And then at the last minute, she's decided not to do it, and then she accidentally trips and hangs herself.
Yeah, she slips.
And that's what it is.
herself.
That was done in comedies where people are like, I do want to live, and then dying. Like they make her at the last minute go, never mind, and then accidentally do it anyway. And
it's it's twisting the knife.
Yes.
It's just making it that much more tragic.
It was so cruel that I couldn't help but to laugh again because it was like, did you really have to do that, movie? Did you have to be like, and then she wanted to live? Oh, never mind. She died. They do the narrator, who's also the author of the book this is based off.
I noticed that. Yeah, he's got a fucking perfect voice.
Yeah, I thought he was what's his face.
He sounds almost like Sam Elliott.
Yeah, he's got real Sam Elliott energy.
He's got a real cowboy voice.
I forget how they put it, but it's basically her realizing like this is bullshit, and she didn't.
She says
die.
like at the last minute she realized she wouldn't be ashamed and that her grandma would love the baby and help her raise it and everything.
Right.
And she's like, oh, this won't actually be that bad. And then she fucking slips and dies.
And then like a Jerry Lewis bit, she slips and yeah, like that's again. It's not a funny moment, guys.
It's not funny.
But
it's also kind of funny.
It's funny in how incredibly tragic it is.
It's so just unflinchingly cruel.
And the movie had already set that tone with these like again, they're all kind of like it's stuff where the guy stabs his wife thinking she's going to get resurrected. These are bits. Like these are like comedically cruel moments. It's very Coen Brothers, and like in a Coen Brothers film, you do laugh. You do laugh when
well, it's because it's played for comedy.
Exactly, it's
Coen
played
Brothers.
for comedy. But these moments feel like Coen Brothers moments, like the kind of deaths that would be in Coen Brothers movies, except they're not played for comedy.
kind of. I don't know. Like,
and I don't
didn't-
mean the situations around them. I mean the actual specific moments. Like the guy stabbing his wife and then praying for her to be resurrected. It feels like, James Franco getting hung for the second time. Or like...
Right, but it's like I already said, it's not played for comedy.
It's not played for comedy. And I think that's what... Because all these moments, there's always these like... It's like these cruel jokes played on them. It's, she doesn't want to die. Oh, she trips. And it's like, fuck her.
It's like a serious man where they keep kicking his ass.
Yeah.
In that movie.
So yeah, she dies, and that was really bummed me out because I really like that actress, and she was great in it.
And it was just such a cruel thing to happen.
Right. At that point, I was ready for this film to throw as many tragedies as they could at me. But yeah, again, the moment I found comical, but the plot was very tragic. And plus, I just liked that character a lot, so it was like, I don't want to see this person lose.
Yeah, it's just such a shitty thing to happen to this girl who believed in God and the church and the preacher with all her heart, and he just fucking is a scumbag.
Right, and they just make her really, I don't know, they make her like kind of a cool person, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like she just, I don't know, she's very likable. And to watch her get sort of beaten down like this by the evil Robert Pattinson.
I think I don't have too many criticisms of the movie because in general I enjoyed it. I thought it was well acted and I liked the story. But my main criticism is that this movie kind of fridges all of its female characters.
Oh, for sure.
With the exception of Riley Keough, but she doesn't fare that much better.
Yeah,
but
I mean, everybody dies.
Everybody. I just said like a lot of the female characters,
they're killed as motivation
to be motivation for revenge. Yeah,
for sure. And so she's dead, and Tom Holland knows damn well what happened because he starts following Robert Pattinson, seeing him doing this with other young women.
He suspects at first because the preacher didn't say any words.
Right.
Like there wasn't a service because he's like, oh, well, she killed herself, so she don't get no God words.
Yeah.
That's closer to what Robert
That
Pattinson
is closer, yeah, for sure.
Like. Yeah. So he's like, so he begins to suspect, and then he follows Pattinson around for a while and notices him fucking some other teenage girl and like wiping his face with her panties.
Yeah, again, maximum creep.
Maximum creep, like such a scumbag.
Yeah. And so he goes to the church and he fucking shoots him.
Yeah. Gets him to confess first.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson tries to
blows him away.
Tries to get away by hucking a Bible, I assume, at him.
Throws a Bible at him.
And he shoots him dead. And then he takes the bullets and he bounces.
He does, yeah. After sprinkling the evidence on him, he runs off.
And then this was one of the other moments that made me start cackling is when he's driving, his car breaks down. He's like, I better hitchhike. And I knew exactly what that meant. And it was
I knew that was going to happen from the instant he was like, I got to leave home and I can't say goodbye to my grandma.
Right.
I'm like, he's going to hitchhike and get picked up.
He's going to run into Jason Clarke, isn't he?
Yep.
And it was just like, of course, this kid cannot get a fucking break.
Nope.
And all this while, Jason Clarke and his that couple, it's been getting like kind of tense between them.
Right. Riley Keough wants out.
Yeah, she's not into it anymore.
Yeah, we see after they kill their latest victim, like she calls the police and tells them the guy's name and where he's buried.
And her brother is Sebastian Stan. We didn't notice.
Yeah, her brother's the sheriff. Yeah,
the sheriff who knows little Tom Holland. He's the one who takes Tom Holland when his dad died in the beginning. So.
And gives him some very grim advice.
He sure does. So
he says some people are born to be buried.
Yeah. It's like, thanks, sir. So then fuck, where were we?
Well, he hitchhikes out of town.
Runs into Jason Clarke like, hey, my wife's pretty hot. And then
he immediately picks up on the weird energy.
Yeah.
And then when Jason Clarke gets out of the car to pee, he notices that he's got a gun in his back, so he takes out his Luger.
And he shoots Jason Clarke.
Fucking blow. He kicks him with the door first.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and then he fucking blows him away.
he's like an action hero. Like he's a little
Yeah.
Spider-Man-y in this.
Yeah.
And the wife gets shot because she had blanks in her gun because Jason Clarke is an asshole.
Yeah, he didn't trust her to have a loaded gun.
Right.
And they have a bit of a standoff too.
They do. And so
Because he really doesn't want to shoot her, and she doesn't want to shoot him, and then they wind up shooting at the same time, pretty much.
Right.
And,
it's a shame because it's like, oh, these two could be a couple. I mean, he's a little young for her.
yeah, because they do a thing where when Jason Clarke goes around to the back of the truck, like the narrator's like, she thought for a second about killing him and then just taking off with the kid in the back seat. And it's like, well, you could have done that.
You could have, but no. And so Sebastian Stan finds out his sister's been murdered. He knows what she is. He burns all the evidence.
He discovers it at this point. He hasn't known all along.
Yeah, but he knows it. Yeah, he knows at this point. But he's nonetheless he's pissed, and so he remembers who Tom Holland is. He gets told that he's a suspect in the murder of Robert Pattinson. So he follows or Tom Holland back to his family log where
his prayer log.
Yep, Tom
his dad's
Holland
prayer log.
finally buries his dog and the Luger, but not before shooting Sebastian Stan.
Right. There's a subplot where Sebastian Stan is he's crooked and he's running for re-election, and that's kind of his primary concern. He's upset that his sister is dead,
but he needs to cover it up.
His bigger concern is that Tom Holland will tell people what his sister was doing with her husband, and that it'll ruin his re-election campaign.
And it's, again, another moment where I was like, I wonder if they're going to have a connection or something. Oh, nope. He's just shooting at him with a shotgun.
Right. It was one of those scenes where I thought it could go either way. I was like, well, they're either going to get into a standoff or he'll give Sebastian Stan the rolls of film he took from the car, and Sebastian Stan will let him go.
Right, because it felt like Sebastian Stan, like knowing what his sister had done, would know that Tom Holland was innocent.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. And so he shoots him. He goes hitchhiking. He gets picked up by a hippie. And I was really hoping that hippie was going to like San Francisco and that it was just going to become
like it was going to be fucking Charles Manson or something.
Yeah. Or like, this is like, I don't know, that Tom Holland was just going to become a wicked hippie. But instead, they're driving and he starts just dreaming about his life and thinking about the Vietnam War, and maybe he'll enlist. And then the movie ends.
Mm-hmm. It ends with him essentially contemplating just becoming his dad.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I'll settle down and have a family. Maybe I'll go fight in a war. So he's just going to be his dad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Who was so thoroughly broken.
It was so broken.
Yeah.
My God.
Old Billiam was a shattered man.
Yeah. You know what all right, the tragedy laughter, you know what I can compare it to is kind of like The Witch, is that I really like The Witch. But that's another one where like everything goes so wrong for them.
Right. It's just so
and it becomes
over
funny.
the top wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the equivalent, you know what it is? And I think it's because, I don't know about you, but I'm desensitized to movies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So
I've actually become more sensitive than I was.
I have to certain things.
In my teens and in my 20s, I'm like more sentimental, which I guess that makes sense because I'm older.
It depends for me. Let me tell you, I can't watch. I love Haunting of Hill House. I can't watch the stupid episode where the kittens die. That upsets me. I can't watch it. I can't do it.
Oh, okay. So you're a little wiener.
Yeah,
I got it.
Exactly. No, it's just that everybody has things that trigger them and that get to them.
Yeah, for sure.
When they pile on tragedy like this, I callous over. And it's not the fault of the movie. Like, it sounds like I'm criticizing the movie, but I'm really not. I really liked this movie. I thought it was a good movie. But like another thing I can think of is like the end of Evil Dead, where Bruce Campbell, it just keeps going and keeps going.
Yeah, he just laughs.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking laughing at him,
Evil Dead
like,
too.
or like any horror movie where you're watching the main character, and of course the deaths in that are always more comical, but you just watch them get more and more abused. I always think of an Evil Dead 1 when the Deadite at the end falls over, his head splatters, and the blood just gushes on Bruce Campbell's face, and he just goes, ah! like this really sad
He's
noise.
just so bummed at this point.
Yeah, and we're just watching that for Tom Holland, but emotionally.
Yeah,
Where it's like-
he's getting emotional deadite blood sprayed into his face.
Yeah, where it really feels like someone's out to get him. Mm-hmm. And
The
he's
universe.
and he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's like little Tom Holland, and then,
It's like watching that fucking moment where he dies begging Tony Stark to make it stop.
Yeah.
But watching that for 2 hours.
exactly. And there's just something, I don't know, when something is that tragic, it just short circuits.
No, I get it. You start it's almost a defense mechanism. Where
Probably.
you just start laughing.
Right. But
I laugh when I get scared.
Yeah. It's hard because that applies to real life more than movies, because movies are also make believe. So I don't know.
Yeah, but they make you feel real emotions.
For sure. But I think this one, and I guess, again, I don't want to blame the movie, but I think because it piled it on so much, that, and then it has so many superheroes in it, that it was just easy to forget that, easy to put that aside. It's like more like being impressed by the movie than affected by it, I guess.
I can see that.
Yeah, because again, really good movie. I don't know. Were you bummed out by this movie? Did you leave the movie feeling bummed out?
No, because it has as happy an ending as it can.
Yeah.
Like Tom Holland makes peace with his father and his family, and I guess with God, and then gets away.
Yeah, and once you accept that that's what kind of story is being told, it really reminded me of Coen Brothers, because like No Country for Old Men, also not a comedy.
It feels a lot like No Country. Yeah.
Yeah, but everybody slowly keeps dying, and everything that bad that can happen does happen.
Yeah, it's not as nihilistic as No Country, but it did remind me a lot of No Country and like a little bit of Lawless. Particularly because Jason Clarke is in both films.
Yeah. Fucking Jason Clarke.
Yeah.
God damn it. Fucking John Connor.
Just make sure your kids know that if they see Jason Clarke in the woods, they should run the other direction.
Treat him like a bear.
Yeah, climb a tree.
Well, he'll just knock the tree down, but
that's true. Yeah, he'll just use his rage to tear the tree out.
Yeah. You can form into a ball. Run if you can. Hit him on the snout. Yeah.
If you can, try to get him really drunk and take him on a fishing boat.
Yes. Oh my fucking
Just
god!
The image of him attached to that fishing rod getting dragged down into the depths is so fucking incredible.
Here's what Jason Clarke, where he excels, is that, and it's no different in this movie, and that's why, I didn't feel bummed by the end, because everybody, I think that's what it is that I think a movie like this bums me out less when everybody who's a bastard gets theirs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, everybody gets it, which is what's missing from like No Country.
Exactly.
Where it's like, well, the bad guys don't get punished in No Country.
Also, that's more like real life, where the bastards don't get punished. So I think that's what it is that this felt more like a revenge movie and more like a Hollywood film than those other films, because it still has to wrap it up in a neat little bow. And Jason Clarke, where he excels as an actor, is playing the guy who's going to get his. Where it's like, that he's going to die whimpering and crying or something, He plays...
Or it's like in a Pet Sematary. Well, he'll just be a guy who life just goes completely out of control for him.
Oh, yeah, he was a perfect pick for that, because in the original Pet Sematary, that guy is just such a knob that you're just like, come on, man, get it together.
Stop fucking this up so badly.
Yeah. And Jason Clarke, he's just got that real fucking just douchebag energy, and he always gets his.
I have ruined this all energy.
Yeah.
I also just remember that Mia Wasikowska is also in Lawless. So
really?
Yeah, two connections between those two.
It's just Lawless and Avengers.
Southern Justice movies.
Yeah. Oh my God, this movie.
Yeah, this fucking the devil all the time.
Yeah, it's a lot. if you are sensitive to this stuff, obviously don't watch it.
A lot of it, I will say, a lot of it happens off screen. Like you don't see any of the assaults. You don't see really most of the violence. The violence you see is pretty brief.
It's Tom Holland on bully violence.
Yeah, that, and he shoots a couple of people. You do see a brief shot of one of Jason Clarke's victims who's had his dick shot off.
Right, and you will see a crucified dog. Briefly,
you will. Briefly, and it's mostly decomposed. But yeah, you don't see him shoot the dog. You don't see the dead dog. You can see that William Skarsgård is carrying something, and we know what it is.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
So yeah, it's as intense as the subject matter is. There really isn't much that's on screen that you have to look away from.
No, the guy crucified at the beginning was shocking, was upsetting because he's still alive.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a little grim.
They kind of show you the worst thing at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Which is important because it colors the entire film. Yeah, it influences Bill Skarsgård to make the decisions that he does, which in turn influences Tom Holland to make the decisions that he does.
Right. Which does feel like the core of the film.
Yeah.
The meaning of the film, I don't know, maybe there's some grander meaning that I missed because I was too busy cackling at Jason Clarke, but like it felt like it was just all the bullshit just getting passed down and passed down and passed down.
Right. Yeah, it's about that, and yeah, I think it's about in inheriting your family's bullshit, like what you pass down to your kids, and like faith is in there a lot.
I was about to say I feel like it's about how faith is like it's like a fly tape that it all sticks to, and so it never goes away. Like, because everything's centered around their relationship with God or their fear of God or their anger with God.
Yeah.
And so they can't let go of anything, and it all just gets passed down to the next and the next. And all the predatory behavior is done in the name of God. It's almost a little bit, I mean, it's called the devil all the time. So it's definitely about religion and it being sort of this, I don't know, this ominous presence in this town. The only thing that this town has.
Yeah. I mean, it's accurate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not inaccurate. That church is very, I've seen a million of those churches in New England.
Oh, hell yeah. And yeah, it's like if you didn't grow up or don't currently live in like a rural community, it's like huge. Like the church is huge.
Right.
Yeah, and I think and the title refers to like something Billiam said about, or like I think his father told him it or something, but it's about feeling like you're fighting the devil all the time.
Right.
So that, I think that is part of it too.
Yeah.
We're real smart.
Well, I mean, the plot is so straightforward that it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a pretty clear theme. Yeah, I think we nailed it. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. It was nice to get like a pretty meaty drama to watch.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it
when there's no movies around.
That aspect of it, I liked that. It felt like a pretty straightforward drama. It wasn't like. I think that might be part of it. Actually, is we just watched A Time to Kill, for example, which is a very serious movie with very heart-wrenching scenes, and that movie affects me emotionally a lot. But then you watch it like 10 times because it's a 90s thriller and it's got Ashley Judd and Matthew McConaughey and others. So who else is in that? Why am I blanking? Sandra Bullock. Sandy.
Oh, Sandra Bullock, fucking both Sutherlands. Patrick McGowan.
And then
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes. And it's after so long, it's like you can't help but to see the actors and all the context around them. So there's a level of like, you always are like, movies are funny. Like they're make-believe. Like they're all playing make-believe. And so you can kind of remove yourself emotionally from the film over time. I was able to do that immediately for this. It felt like a 90s thriller I was watching.
Yeah, Yeah, kind of. Yeah, just in terms of how straightforward it is.
And how iconic all the actors are. Like, this feels like one of those movies that in 20 years from now, people are going to be watching it and going, oh my God, they were in this too? The way we were watching Time to Kill, where we're like, Jesus, how many fucking Sutherlands are in this, you know? Where it's got so many people, and they're doing a great job. And it's kind of jarring for that reason. Like, what did they all even talk about on set? What does Jason Clarke have to say to Tom Holland?
I don't know.
What could he possibly have to say to him?
What could those two dudes possibly talk about?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah,
if you like a good drama, if you're not susceptible to tragedy in movies, or you know you can handle it, this is a really, really good movie to watch, I think.
Yeah, it's a solid movie to just I'm just gonna watch a movie for the next 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm
just gonna do that.
There was something comforting in watching it because it felt like I don't know, just a solid drama thriller.
Yeah, for sure.
I watched it first thing in the morning.
Nice.
I got up, I opened my little eyes, and I was like, I'm gonna watch a dog get crucified. Here we go.
My tiny little eyes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's
episode. Hey everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to us.
Yeah.
If you're interested, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We have tiers where you can watch movies with us every Friday night. You can, there's producing We Just Watched episodes. There's Hypecast, producer tier, all good stuff. Check it out.
Yeah, we also got a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefullyunemployed. You can get t-shirts, mugs, masks, stickers, posters, all kinds of shit. So this is not a joke. We should do a Jason Clarke thing. We should do something around Jason Clarke. We should do something around Jason Clarke. Yeah, we really
He's a real workhorse. You know, like, we don't appreciate Jason Clarke enough for what he is, for what he does.
For the energy he brings to movies.
He's sneaking in there as, like, my favorite movie scumbag.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
He's a modern Xander Berkeley. I mean, different energy, but filling the same space.
Yeah, he's more violent.
Yeah. No, different energy, but it's the same like career where he's like, you need a D-bag? You got me. You got the Clark.
We got you covered with Jay Clark.
I got my trunk full of wife beaters.
Yeah, of various stains. Yeah. What kind of stains do you want? I got them all.
I got all the stains. I'm Jason Clarke, baby. Yeah. I like the idea that he just drives around to movie sets.
Right, yeah. Just pokes his head in. You guys need a scumbag?
One scumbag. Over here, buddy.
Hey, you're he shows up camera ready.
Okay, what am I, drunk, not drunk, violent? Am I threatening? What kind of scumbag you need? Should I put on these Elvis glasses, take them off? What do you need? I'm Jason Clarke, baby.
What decade do you need me to be an evil stepdad in? The 60s, the 70s? I can do the 20s. I can do the 30s. Man. I got range.
I can be a caveman. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'll be a shitty stepdad
Scumbag caveman. Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke. Oh, man. Yeah, we need to make that happen. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll figure it out.
We could do different eras of Jason Clarke as a scumbag.
Sure, yeah. Clark through time.
Oh, man, we got such good ideas.
We have the best ideas, honestly. I mean, I'm not tooting our own horn, but we have the best ideas, period.